Welcome to the EEE360 video for lab number 14, the synchronous motor, part 2. For this lab, we'll be using the following components. We'll be using the AC power supply, the 3-phase watt meter, the AC voltmeter, the AC ammeter, as well as the synchronous machine. And if you recall from lab 13, we show you the details of the inside of the synchronous machine. Finally, we'll be using the DC ammeter. And now the TAG Chang is ready to make the connections for us. We're going to connect the output of our fixed AC power supplies. We'll connect A phase through the AC ammeter. From the AC ammeter to the input, the A phase input on our 3-phase watt meter. Next, we'll connect the B phase of the fixed power supply to the B phase input of the 3-phase watt meter. And lastly, we'll connect the C phase to the input of the 3-phase watt meter. We'd also like to check the line-to-line voltage of our fixed power supply. So we're going to check the voltage between phase A and phase B. And now we have the input to the 3-phase watt meter set. So we're going to connect the output of the 3-phase watt meter. We're going to connect the A phase output of the 3-phase watt meter to the A phase stator winding. Now we'll connect the B phase output of the 3-phase watt meter to the B phase stator winding on the synchronous machine. And lastly, we'll connect the C phase to the C phase stator winding. It's important that we connect the stator windings in Y, so let's short out the other side of our stator windings in order to get that proper Y connection. And now we have the proper power supply, the AC power supply going to the synchronous machine. Let's connect our DC excitation. We're going to go from the variable DC power supply through the DC ammeter. And we're going to go from the DC ammeter into the positive side of our rotor winding. And lastly, we'll connect the neutral side of our rotor winding to the neutral of the variable DC power supply. And now we have all of our connections made. And now we're ready to energize our circuit. We're going to turn on the power supply, and we note that the motor is now turning. Let's take a close look at our current measurement with no DC excitation. And here is our current reading with no DC excitation. Our AC current is 1.0 amperes. And now we're ready to start supplying DC excitation. In order to do this, we have to turn on the switch on the synchronous machine. So we're going to go ahead and turn that on. And we're going to have a close-up shot here of us turning on the DC excitation. We'll get a close-up of this. And now we're ready to start increasing the level of DC excitation by increasing the variable DC power supply. Let's start increasing the DC excitation. We can see that as we increase the DC excitation, our current goes down. And if we continue to increase this, we can see that, there we go, and now we're starting to increase the level of excitation current now. If we want to try to get the minimum value on this scale, this analog meter, you're not going to have this problem in your lab. But with this analog meter, it's hard for us to read the minimum value. So we're going to do this experiment, and we're going to change the scale so we can see a better close-up of what the minimum current actually is. And now we've changed our analog meter so that we're on the 0.5 amp scale. So let's increase the DC excitation. You see here's our minimum value. If we continue to increase the DC excitation, we see that indeed it goes up. So let's try to go back to our minimum value. And again, we're on the 0.5 amp scale, so we're already reading the numbers in the middle. And we can see that this is indeed about between the 0 and the 0.1 amp scale. So this is about 0.05 amperes. And here's a close-up of our 3-phase watt meter reading. You recall from previous labs we're using the 2 watt meter method in order to measure the 3-phase power. And here we can see that watt 1 measures approximately 5 watts, and watt 2 measures approximately 7 watts. And here's a close look at our DC excitation current. Again, we're on the 2.5 amp scale, so we're going to be reading the numbers along the top. And we can see here that the DC excitation is approximately 0.53 amperes. This is the line-to-line voltage of our fixed AC power supply. And we see that the measurement is about 218 volts. And now, students, you're ready to perform this and other experiments on the synchronous machine as outlined in your laboratory manual.